ready? Okay, go! Hi, my name's Pia Interlandi and I'm one of your virtual presenters for tonight. I'd love to be there, but unfortunately I'm stuck in Melbourne with my dogs at the park, which is not such a bad thing. But anyway, I'm at the park and this happens to be one of the places that I do talk about death as just a casual conversation, because when people ask me what I do and I say, oh, I'm a fashion designer and a funeral celebrant, that usually raises quite a few eyebrows, and they say, does that mean that you make clothing for the bereaved to wear to the funeral? And I say, well, no, I actually make clothing for the dead, and I do the dressings with the family if they'd like me to do that. And that usually then opens a door for conversation about people's experiences of death that they've had themselves. And in my experience, people want to talk about death. They just don't know how to open the door to start that conversation. And so that's the position I was in when I started what I'm doing. And with all the action around and all the living animals creeping around and surrounded by death day to day, unfortunately, no, I have to cut this. Yeah, I make clothing for people to be buried in, and specifically I'm looking at natural burial and reclaiming death by the family. So I encourage families to take much more of control their funeral arrangements. And one of the things that often comes up, particularly at the park, is what you've done with your pets. And one of the things that happens with pets is that you'll take them home. You'll take them from the vet if they've been euthanized, and you'll actually wrap them in something and bury them. You'll dig the hole yourself, you'll cover the hole yourself, and then you might put a plant over the top, and in essence, that is what natural burial is. Hello, you! We have lots of friends in the park. I think we've got too many dogs here now. So let's cut this and we'll come back in a second. So we're no longer in the park. The dogs have been put away. I can speak a little bit more clearly, and what I wanted to show you tonight was actually a short video of a prototype dressing that we've been doing for the launch of the Garments for the Grave label. This is obviously the live model. So this was a dressing we actually conducted at uni in one of the studios with all of my fashion students around. It's just part of the notion of having these weird situations that encourage you to talk about death. So when I actually set about designing these garments, I reflected upon the first dressing I did, which was actually dressing my Italian grandfather for his funeral. Was when I was dressing him that I kind of really began to consider what his clothes were made of, what fibre compositions and how those fibres actually react to the body and also to the environment. And I realised quite quickly that the fibres were durable. They were designed for a life of washing and wearing, and in the ground and in the grave, that's quite a different consideration. So one of the other things I realised was that dressing the dead body is quite different from dressing the live body, particularly if rigor mortis has started to set in. So one of the things we've done is created a garment that is quite open and manoeuvrable and can be put on regardless of the state of the body, essentially. So whether stiff rigor mortis is in place or whether it's started to subside or whether you actually do the dressing beforehand, we've made sure that the garment is easy to use in all of those situations. The garments come with instructions so that the family can actually perform the dressing themselves, or they can invite a celebrant such as myself to help with that. But it's not something that's difficult to do.
I know you do a very fine job.
You'll notice that with the arms there are actually lots and lots of ties. Part of that was an intentional method of creating ritual with this knotting. So instead of creating like a bow instead of a knot, each time you create a knot, it's another version of creating this idea that this person has actually gone from this physical form, and you do a knot that will not be undone again. What do you mean?
Like, as in, so...
The garments are actually created with a hemp, which is a plant-based fibre which actually breaks down in the ground rather quickly. We also use things like silk blends and possibly wool, but we do like to keep it to natural fibres so that they do break down in the ground with the body. In the dressing, we've also included a series of lighter fabrications, and these go onto the hands and onto the feet because part of the importance of the dressing is it's this process, and it takes about 20 minutes or however slowly or quickly you want to do it, but it does take quite some time, and people have reported that closing the coffin is actually a moment that's quite not quite violent, but it's too quick. And so some of the elements of these garments include things like these silk handbags that we've just placed on now. This creates a sort of a fading effect as the body is clothed and is slowly removed from our kind of physical plane or existence. I like to think of the body as a gift back to the earth that we've been lucky enough to inhabit during this life, but when we no longer need it, that we do return these nutrients into the ground. And so I like to think of my wrappings or my dressings or my garments as a wrapping for this present that goes back into the ground.
More elegant with the overlap.
And then we'll have the little strappy thing all together.